Imagine that there are three people, A, B, and C. Let's say that A is given a number X, and he increases the number by 20%, and he hands it over to B. Let that quantity be Y, and B takes that Y and increases it by 25% and hands it over to C, and that number is Z. Now, questions that I have: by what percent does Z exceed X? X increase by what percentage will give you Z? The answer is not 45. First of all, it's actually 50. And this is just like that previous section where we are negating a fraction, a percentage change with another. And again, I have two questions. One is, why is it not 45? And why is it 50 specifically? Or you can look at it this way: 20 plus 25 is 45. Where is the extra 5 coming from? You can look at it that way. Now, let's look at why this is happening. First of all, understand that this is invariant. This is an invariant problem. It doesn't really matter what X is, because you're given two fractional changes, and we are essentially asking what is the resultant fractional change. And so the value of X itself doesn't matter. You can work with the X itself if you want, or you can simplify it by working with a number. So if you start with 100, 20% of 100 is 20, so the absolute increase is 20, and so the number becomes 120. 25% of 120 is 1/4 of 120, and 1/4 of 120 is 30, and you get 150. And clearly this 150 is 50 more than 100. It's actually 50% more than 100 as well, right? That is why it is not 45. So basically what's happening is the 25% is actually resulting in an absolute increase of 30, which you see is actually 30% of the starting value. So the first 20% increases the starting value by 20%. The second 25% actually increases the quantity by 30% of our starting value. That is one way of understanding where this extra 5 is coming from. Now you can also look at it this way. It is given that B is A plus 20% of A, while C is B plus 25% of B. If you start making a substitution here, you will get this B can be replaced with A plus 20% of A, and then you add 25% of A plus 20% of A. When you expand this, you will get A plus 20% A plus 25% A plus 25% of 20% of A, which is basically 1/4 of 1/5, which you know is 1 by 20th, which is nothing but 5%. So if you rewrite this line, last line, A plus 20% of A plus 25% of A plus 5% of A, this is where the extra 5 is coming from. And that's basically how percentage stacking works. The idea that if you increase by a certain percentage and you are increasing, the next percentage's increase is not on the starting value, it's on a new value, and that is what changes things up. It doesn't give you the sum of the percentage changes, it gives you a value bigger than that. And this is the reason, because the 25% change is not on A, it is 25% of a bigger quantity than A. It actually results in it ends up being 30% of A. That is where the extra is coming from. The net change is not equal to the sum of the individual percentage changes, it is bigger.